Thank you all for being here. In the time that you've been training, I'm sure we would run out of time as you thought of the people that you saw come and go. Some of them you would have sworn would still be here. Some of them you looked at and you said, well, better than I am. Now they're gone. What is it that you think keeps someone dedicated to their training? And we're not going to go around. This is more popcorn, whoever wants to.
I think life gets in the way sometimes for some people. Your kids, job, career, things happen. So I think some people stop training, unfortunately.
But what is it because that's the case for all of us. What is it that keeps us, despite those things, in our training?
Perseverance.
But why?
Life gets in the way.
Yeah, and I think the people who are still here are the ones that they made that choice that, oh, yes, life does get in the way, but this is more important that I need.
I agree. I think it's all about where their priorities are. And sometimes other things do take priority, like kids or career changes.
I'm somebody who left my training for a while, high school, college, career got in the way. And I came back, and I always wanted to come back. I missed the camaraderie of being at the dojo. I missed the physicality of it. I missed the mental training of it all. And so the passion inside me wanted to come back. And so I did. But I think for some people, that passion, that light isn't there. There's a spark, and they try it, and it's not for them. And that's okay. It's okay for it not to be right for some people, but for us, it is. It's a huge part of who we are.
One of the common themes that I see among all of us and a lot of the students that we work with is that we realize there's always room for improvement, a way to get better, a way to understand that where we are, it's not static. There's always room for growth, for improvement, despite our educational levels, despite our professions. There's always room to improve. And I think the big benefit of karate is that you get to improve your spirit, your mind, your inner peace. And that's hard to find in other places.
I think myself, I've always wanted to spread. And then I had friends kids, and they went through stuff that I'm doing now. And I just fell in love with God. It wasn't fighting. It wasn't protection.
So priority was kind of the theme that I think I've heard from most of you. We can all take the same class and get roughly the same experience. Right? We'll have some differences in how we perceive it. Some of us like certain drills more than others. Maybe the partners that we work with change our experience. But overall, pretty straightforward value, right? Come to class, we have an idea of what, Now, the priorities are different. I would say it's because maybe the way we value what we get out of it could be different. So you talked about education. And one of the things that I've noticed is there's a lot of nerdiness among martial arts. We tend to enjoy that constant pursuit of education. Is that a fair statement for all of you? You all enjoy learning?
It's a constant grind.
Does that value of learning extend beyond martial arts for you? There are other things that you like learning about? I'd like you to speak to some of your non-martial arts interests that kind of satisfy that. And let's see if there's some overlap in this area. Let's see where that is.
No, go ahead.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing's going to compare to what we do and how we train and the lifestyle. I mean, I jump out of planes, I scuba dive, I do all this crazy stuff. A total adrenaline junkie.
Yeah, there's no similarities there.
Nothing compares to martial arts training. And the beauty of it is, and I tell this to some of the young kids, you know what? Any metal detector, any TSA agent, you go through any metal detector, nobody knows what you know. You take that with you wherever you go in this world. There's not a lot of things you can say that about.
I've developed a lifelong passion for learning in many different fields. The law, as an air traffic controller, I've always been excited to learn a new skill, a new profession. And just a short little example of that is when I bought my first computer back in the 90s and something happened to it, I would call up on, the 1-800 fix my computer, and you'd spend 2 hours, 3 hours with them saying, okay, click this button, okay? Click this button, okay? And it just went on and on. And I said, I don't want to deal with that anymore. So what did I do? I learned how to build computers. I would buy motherboards on the internet. I would buy the case. I would buy the video card, and I would spend hours assembling it. And that way, months later or years later, when something went wrong, I could unscrew the cover, figure out what was wrong, if it's the processor, buy a new processor, and put it back together again. It'd be much easier to buy one. But I didn't want to deal with
You
that.
like knowing the way things work.
I want to know the inner mechanics of just about anything that I'm doing.
I'm a pilot. I fly, it's not my career. It was for a short period of time, but I do it on now. And pilot training is difficult, challenging. There's a lot to learn. But I equate it a lot, and I used a lot of the skills that I developed here in the dojo when I was going through my initiative. There's a lot of similarities between how you sort of apply concepts and how you learn, that you can learn in the dojo, you can pick those up in the dojo and then apply them to the room. And so, it takes a lot of attention to detail. And I think that's to kind of tie back to the previous question. That's one of the things that maybe keeps us involved in our training for this long is that, and especially in Uechi-Ru and maybe other styles too, is that we talk about it being, sort of a foot wide and a mile deep. So, there's very few things to learn, but we spend decades perfecting it. And I think that applies to a lot of things, both in the dojo and in our civilized, or civilian lives too.
Civilized. Whole side of it, the learning, it's all the same basics, kind of like in karate. We only have, especially in our style, we only have 8 cuts. At third degree black belt, we've learned everything that's about to a point. But then it's the digging in deeper, figuring out how can it be applied differently? How can we learn more from it? And even in my engineering, yes, I got the basics. And then it's okay, how can we apply it? How can we design it, make things better, even better and then, it's just constant work there. Then even on my fun time, I like to play video games. And it's that struggle of, I have this problem, just have the persistence, keep going to get the solution at the end. Then it's even that perfection of a lot of the games out there have achievements tied to them. And it's to collect all these achievements and be here's what I need to do and just work towards that. How can I collect that, get that thing, and then move on to the next one? Of now there's something else to do, another game. So.
I love to paint, I love to write. So a lot of what you guys mentioned with tinkering with stuff and going a mile deep and something a foot wide really resonates.
Makes life interesting. And my husband and I would ride a motorcycle. And I mean, that's something that I never thought they'd ever do, and it's fun, just, do a lot of stuff, a lot of travel and stuff, and it's amazing.
It's this theme here, and you just brought it out, and that is that it sounds like we all enjoy challenges beyond our immediate goal, beyond work, beyond home. It's we all seem to understand that there's a whole new world out there, and we say, well, let me try this. Let me just find out what it's all about. It may not have it may not make us money or anything like that, but it's fun and it's challenging, and whether we can meet that goal in and of itself, I think it's really gratifying. But I mean, when we look at karate, right, it's when I started out, it was I just wanted to work out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it is about the workout, but it's so much more than that. I think it's about the friendship, the camaraderie. What I learned from kids. Mike got me involved in jiu-jitsu just on a lark. And that's a whole new world. So my attitude is, why not?
And he's doing great.
There was another commonality that I'm not sure others noticed that I saw, and I think it lines up very well with the description of each of that one or two of you mentioned, the foot wide mile deep details. You can't be a very successful engineer without caring about details. You don't care about details as a pilot, not going to have very long and die. I know people who have abandoned law because there were too many details and it drove them crazy, right? Writing is all about, to be a successful writer, you're looking for the details that need to be changed. And I heard similar things, diet, nutrition, you mentioned a few things that where details matter. So when we think about identifying, the word I like to use with regard to training is there's a deficiency somewhere in my form, my technique, my sparring strategy, and looking for those details that need to be worked on. Because we're speaking on this from a bit of a nerdy sort of academic perspective, do you have a process that you go through as you evaluate what you're working on, or when you're working with someone else to help them remedy or at least improve their deficiency?
I think there's a lot of times in class, like, especially, I think us at our ranks that we are, we're usually one of the seniors in class, if not easy. And working with a lot of the lower ranks, and I think I've pointed out to a lot of people of the things that have been pointed out to me by seniors. And that's really what I'm keeping an eye on, and it's even still the things I'm picking apart on myself, because it's like, okay, I still get that foot quite in the right spot. My hands have been dropping a little bit, and I get called out. I'm like, okay, yes, I can work that. And I'm usually sharing that also with the other people I'm working with. That they're like, and pointing out those things, because we can do it every day and not see it. I'll have to let it out.
I think at times we have a tendency of being our own worst critic. We get hard. I know there was one moment where, at least for all of us, could have done that better. So we all have our own idea of what perfection and how we want to achieve that and how we want to keep evolving. So I think we all look for different things in our lives, whether we're working on our strengths or our speed or fluidity. So I think it comes back to that prioritization of what our goal is at that time.
And I'll say it, I don't know if this is if we're actually in where we all study in this association, but, and I think I was talking to you about it, there's no ego in our association. Nobody is there to beat their own chest and prove how great they are. Even the most senior rank in our association, and we have lots of senior people in our association, they will stay after class and help somebody work on the tiniest little thing. Your finger was out of place in your thumb chemistry, whatever it was, up to the biggest things, working through a content, helping somebody get through an entire content, or even bigger than that. And I think that's a big part of the tradition that's passed down through our association, and that allows us all to feel comfortable to help others and to continue to pass down the corrections that we receive to the next generation, the next group of folks. They get better. And as they get better, we get better. And we learn from our seniors and the
I agree with that. I think with the years of training comes a responsibility to help the newer people, just like the seniors helped us. Nobody gets there by themselves. You don't learn it by reading it in a book. You can't go online and learn it on a website. You got to do it. Got to get passed down, person to person. And I think all of us try to help others. You know, does somebody along the line help that? Right?
And fostering that spirit that it's okay to make mistakes.
Of course.
You know, and I think, and that's part of it, is that we live in an environment where it is okay to make mistakes. We all make lots of mistakes all the time. And feeling okay with that, and then being okay with corrections and receiving that feedback, is part of it.
Really, if we didn't make any mistakes, that means we perfected it. And so why are we still here, right? The reason we're still here is because we haven't perfected it. There's still more to learn.
It reminds me of golf. Like, you can never master golf. You can only get better at it. Martial arts is the same way. You can master it. You get better.
Right, yeah, right.
That's why we all work hard. Keep it coming back. Right?
They're wonderful, but they're all different. And you learn from them what they do. And you think they didn't realize that it did that. And just, I don't know, it's just an always learning experience from the getting trained.
There's something up here that I find kind of interesting in the past silence today. You're all talking about generational handoff of not just the knowledge, but that how to reach that knowledge. Right? A few of you said, I know what to correct and how to correct it because of how I was corrected or how I saw other people corrected. Martial arts is an environment where we tend to hold up the people who've been doing it long, which, because of the way time works, tend to be older. Whereas in modern Western society, we don't really do this. People tend to reach an age, and hopefully you've not felt this, but it's been my up, that once people reach roughly retirement age, we kind of push them aside. It wasn't that long ago that we didn't put that way in society. If we were to take our understanding of how and why this works well, the responsibility that they brought up, to people outside of martial arts, not even about martial arts, but helping them recognize this generation handoff. How might we talk about it?
I mean, when you talk about it, and they start talking about what they do, and then they ask you what you do, or what you've done, everything. And they say, oh my God, you're that old and you're doing this. And I think that is an encouragement. And that's my mission, I guess, now, is to show people that it doesn't make any difference. It's still valuable and it encourages them. And people that weren't tempted to try now do, because they figure, oh, goodness, it's easy. At that age, I didn't do it. You know what I'm saying? So I think please by example. I really do.
Leading by example. And it's observing, when you talk about process earlier, it's also about recognizing the people around you, what they need, what you need, what others give you. And once you identify that, and once you accept it, it's very easy to get better, to work harder, and then it becomes easier to pass it on because you realize what you have to go through and you want to lead by example and show the younger students in karate, you can get better, you can get stronger, you can certainly accomplish this. And when you take that skill set and develop it in karate, I think it's easy to take it out into other activities, whether it's piloting, engineering, art, jiu-jitsu, whatever it might be. It's just much easier to take that skill set and use it in other fields. That's the way that I've found that I've been able to apply my skill set and my ability to learn in other areas. Master that, you can do anything.
And thinking, kind of like we've mentioned it before, of the understanding, like, yes, we're not perfect, we have more to learn, and I think making sure everybody understands, like, yes, we're all here to learn. Let's listen to each other of like, yes, you're a younger student, but you can still teach me stuff. I'll teach you what I know, but you're still going to teach me, and we're going to work through it. And it could be, if I just dump knowledge on you based off what I had, well, the world today is different from when we learned those lessons. So we need to understand, okay, how it's applied, like how should we phrase it to make sure that it's going to be passed along and through that.
I remember telling Stephanie yesterday, I hope you don't mind if I'm repeating this, but, we were talking before the test and, she said, well, I'm a little nervous. And I look at her and she's much younger than I am. And I said, wait a minute, you teach karate. You have attended and, studied karate for more than half of your life. You teach students that are younger than you. You teach students that are older than you. You teach students with less experience, and you teach students with more experience. What do you have to be nervous about?
I admitted that one of the biggest reasons I was so nervous was because just about everyone in that room, I have a great amount of respect for. And I don't want to let anybody down. I didn't want to disappoint anyone. Because I've learned so much from you, I've learned so much from all of you, work with each and every single one of you in class. If I can cross arms with you, I have to be able to prove it on the floor.
I think you're a perfect example of what all of us with an open mind have the ability to learn. Because I love working out with you and watching you and saying it doesn't matter about years of experience or age. I can learn. I can learn from all of you.
We're gonna start to wrap here. Wrap up, not asking you to freestyle here. I let's come up with 3 words that summed up their journey as a martial artist. It can be 3 words, makes a short sentence, or 3 kind of words with commas together. Thinking of the writing. I don't know how to paste them on the fly. No particular order, but when you have your 3 words, and I'm going to ask that you not take the easy way and say, oh, those were mine. Not do that. There are, I'm sure if we sat here for even a few minutes, you could come up with hundreds.
You gotta have to say perseverance, loyalty, and family.
I would say confidence, pride, and I'm thinking either community or camaraderie. Yeah. Family's a great word.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
We couldn't do it. We wouldn't be here if
Yeah.
it was for our families weren't supportive, right?
Yeah. Strong word. It carries a lot of meaning. Yeah.
Definitely, the something would be the confidence, the family. Yeah, perseverance is just one of those. Yeah, I'll do stick-to-itiveness. So you do a different word.
Thank you. Thanks for joining. And that concludes what we're doing here. See you all in the back hall.
Thank you.